Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Rise Leadership Circle podcast. Lisa Limita here with you today, and I have such a special guest. You guys, I have been waiting to bring you this interview. I want you to meet my friend, Angel Amy. She is a psychic medium amongst many other talents and abilities and gifts that she has. But we're going to just have some fun today. Amy and I, I'm just going to hand her the mic here in a second, but how this conversation came to be, I met Amy, a while back through a mutual friend. And from the moment I met her, I just knew that she's somebody I want to be in my circle, that I'm excited to get to know more. And we are going to talk about all things connecting with your guardian angels, all the things. I'm just going to toss it over to you, Amy, before I say too much. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about you.
Thank you, Lisa, so much for the beautiful intro. So I am Angel Amy. I am a psychic medium. I work with angels, spirit guides, loved ones on the other side. I am also a spiritual teacher. So I teach about the realms, dimensions, some people say heaven on the other side, and how it incorporates or can benefit our human life here in 3D. These angels are just beautiful helpers, and I'm so excited to dive deeper with you, Lisa.
Me too. Me too. And I love this topic because, a lot of our clients are entrepreneurs, and I would say soulful entrepreneurs who are really pretty tapped into the spiritual part of their life. And of course, everybody's at different places on the path, different places of the journey. But one of the things for me personally, when we just even think about business, my spiritual life, my angelic support, my spiritual team, none of that is ever separate from my business, right? It's all informing me, supporting me, guiding me. And one of the things I love to do is to help people really connect in to that support in all aspects of their life, right? Whether we're talking about relationships or health and wellness or your business or whatever that might be. So I'm excited to jump in. I would love to start with your story, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Would really like to hear how you came to this line of work. Did you always know that you were psychic?
So I was born with the ability to connect to the other side, definitely at the age of 3. So I am one of 3 children. We're all very close in age. I'm the middle child, and my siblings they do not have this ability. So when we were little, I would talk about like other people in the room or angels, and they had no idea what I was talking about. And so I was 5 in 1980, and no one really talked about any of this. So my parents kind of just swept it under the rug. It made them really nervous. And I moved on with life and pretty much hid it all the way until like the teenage years. I started to talk to my friends a little bit about spirituality, and some were interested and some were not. I continued on through corporate America, and I worked in Boston. You'll hear my Boston accent from time to time. I worked in Boston for many, many years, then got married, decided to have my daughter Julia. And at the age of 32, I wasn't really using my spiritual abilities at all. I was super, super into personal development and working on myself. And we can talk about how that goes hand in hand. But when I had my daughter Julia, I knew innate or intuitively inside of me that there was something wrong. And through this process with having Julia, I used or admitted that I was psychic out loud to the medical team. And no one was listening. The doctor wasn't listening to me. So I asked for the head nurse and she believed me. I said, listen, I'm psychic. I know this is a baby girl, although I didn't know I was having a girl. And she has the cord wrapped around her neck. And if I have this baby, traditionally, she's not going to come out into the world. We need to go in and get her, and we need to get her now. And so that's exactly what happened. I had an emergency C-section, and Julia just didn't have the cord wrapped once, but twice, to the point where she was born with torticollis, which is just like a shortening of the muscle on one side, which thankfully was healed through physical therapy. But when I had Julia, in that moment, I said to the angels in the spirit guides, you saved her. And it was such a spiritual moment where I was like, I am going to devote my life to helping others from this point forward.
I have so many questions about this story. Oh, so cool. So in that moment when you had that knowing, like, okay, her cord is wrapped around her neck, it's a baby girl. How did you know? Was it a voice that you heard? Did you see the angels? Was it an inner knowing? Like, what was that like for you?
It was this inner knowing, which now I know is called clairsentience. It was because I do see, I'm clairvoyant, but it wasn't necessarily a seeing. It was this inner knowing that I knew, like, the grass is green. Like, no one can tell me it's purple, it's green, right? Mm-hmm. I knew that Julia had this cord wrapped. I knew it as a feeling in my gut, in my heart, and it felt like it was in me and it was like surrounding me. Yeah.
Wow. And I know your story. I was reading about it a little bit earlier, but when you first told the doctor, like, look, she's in distress, her cord's wrapped around her neck, the doctor didn't believe you.
No, the doctor did not. She said, Amy, I told you that this is going to take some time and you'll be pushing by morning. Because at this point, it was, in the middle of the night. And I said to myself, she's not right. Like, it was this knowing inside of me and around me, Lisa, that was powerful and empowering to the point of no authority can tell me. It overtook the doctor's authority.
Wow.
I listened, I leaned in, and I trusted it. And that's why Julie is here.
Wow, that's so incredible.
Thank you.
It takes a lot of courage to go against, especially someone like, let's just say a doctor, for example, because I think this is relevant for a lot of people who might even be, maybe they're going through their own, say, health journey, for example, and they have a knowing about something not being right. Maybe it's a course of treatment that doesn't feel right. Maybe it's they're being ignored and yet they know something is going on. So that ability to trust ourselves, it sounds like for you, it was so powerful, you almost couldn't ignore it. I'm curious.
I couldn't ignore it.
Has your intuition always felt that way? Or do you think it was like the intensity and the timing of the moment that your angels were just like, there's no questioning this?
Okay, so let's start here. I know that you're all like, but this lady's psychic and she of course she's going to know. You all have intuition. Everyone listening to this, everyone, even if you don't believe you have it, you have it. It was heightened by the power of two. So when we have two souls, two energetic bodies combined as one through love, as we know, is one of the highest vibrating emotions you can possibly feel. So this moment in time was a combination of two souls uniting for one beautiful purpose. So let's talk a little bit about, in life, the power of numbers, right? Mm-hmm. And how, yes, we're all sovereign beings and we stand alone. And that's beautiful. But if we choose to surround ourselves by like-minded people or support a like-minded cause, how powerful energetically that is. Mm-hmm. And so I know that there was the power of two here. So I believe that my abilities were magnified. And I also believe Julia's soul was talking to me too, where it
Yeah.
was, I kept hearing, she needs to come here. She needs to come here. When I had Julia, I had emergency C-section. If anyone listening has gone through this process, it's actually quite traumatic, to be honest. And they handed me, once they free your hands up, because they kind of tie your hands down. Have you been through this, Lisa?
Not through a C-section, no.
Okay. So it's a very major surgery. And this is why they pretty much hold off unless it's life-saving. So when they handed me Julia, I couldn't see her face. I actually had a psychic flash from when God created the earth, maybe, all the way till 2007 when I had her, of all her past lives. Like, I don't necessarily even work with past lives, but for Julia, I saw all her past lives and I was like, she's so old. She's so old. But she was a brand new baby. They must have
Oh,
thought I was nuts. And
yeah, an
so
old soul. She's like traveled many lifetimes to get here.
yes. And so that's the point is, here we have the power of two and this really old soul coming into the world, and your angels will intervene if it's a life-saving time in your life. And this
Yeah.
was a life-saving time for Julia.
Wow. What a beautiful, beautiful story. I
Thank you,
just think
Lisa.
I love that in the power of two and like your two souls working together to bring her earth side and just, yeah, so, so beautiful. I know too, I consider myself an intuitive. I've always been empathic. And I will tell you that when I am with my friends who are very high vibe, especially my friends who are also psychic and intuitive, it does seem to amplify my abilities.
Yeah.
Even as a coach, when I'm coaching, a lot of times I'm intuitively guiding my clients. Sometimes I'm working with a client who, is already there, and what I receive comes faster and is clearer. And I can totally relate to that because I do feel it is amplified when someone is really open and ready to be receiving.
Yes. And we have to remember that we really have these five bodies, and one of the five bodies is the emotional component, and all the five bodies have energy. So we have the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body, the energetic, and the spiritual body. And angels connect in through the spiritual body, but also our physical bodies and our emotional bodies, and all these bodies connect into that energetically. And so we can talk more about that. But when we are in a collective consciousness as humans, like when we come together with a beautiful positive intention, there is an emotional ladder where we have at the bottom, we have like depression, and we have sadness, and we have regret and anger and all these yucky things, anxieties way down there. And then at the top, we have joy is the highest, and love and peace and so forth. But the very middle rung is hope. So what bridges the gap from the lower emotions into the higher vibrating emotions is hope. And so when we are in with other humans where we have similar intentions or expectations or whatever the word may be, we're all coming together with either hope or higher, and it starts to get catchy and it starts to get much more powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love the way you just described that. That is so powerful. Yeah, you can personally, like, I can palpably feel the energy when there's a group that comes together, right? And everybody is in that space to rise higher.
Yes,
So
palpable.
good.
That's a perfect word, Lisa. Yes.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
palpable.
So I have some questions about connecting to guardian angels. So So one of the things you do is you will do, would you call it an angel reading for someone? Or you're actually connecting to people's guardian angels and
Yes.
relaying messages. Is that correct?
Yes. So my psychic abilities connect in through the soul first, and your angels are connected to a blueprint, which the blueprint is a roadmap of your soul. So your angels are connected into this blueprint, which is attached to your soul, or like an overlay of your soul. And so first in a reading, I read the angels, have me express things about you, maybe traits about you, or, things about you that are current day life that are happening. Angels, your agenda is your angels' agendas. So really, they have this beautiful connection with you in through the soul. And then as I go deeper into your angels, I can tell you things about you by reading your angels, because angels have traits that represent things about you. And then from there, they can take me out into the future if someone is worried about something or anxious about something. And I'm only able to see positive things in the future, or things that will help you grow or heal as a human.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is so beautiful. Did you learn this skill like through a mentor, or was this process something that you really developed by working with your own angels?
So, great question, Lisa. So, number one is the more you strengthen your emotional body, the closer you forge a deeper connection towards your soul. So, meaning to know yourself and who you are, not even necessarily why you're here, but could be, then it starts to create a deeper connection with your angels. So the more you have love, joy, peace, the more peaceful you feel, the easier it is to do this kind of work.
Mm.
So we have to keep the mental body and the emotional body healthy in order to uh, connect in to the other side. So it's not necessarily, Lisa, like, yes, I teach this for a living. So it's not necessarily something you can learn, but it's twofold. There is learning how to do it, yes, how to connect into intuition or your angels or the other side, but there's also a personal development piece that is just as important.
Ooh, yes, I want to hear about that. Let's talk about the personal development piece. Tell me more.
Okay, so we just learned about this emotional ladder. So think about it. If you're someone that is experiencing like a lot of anxiety or depression, or if it's an angry person, it's those are very low vibrating emotions. We know when we meet someone that's very angry versus very joyful, they feel like two very different kinds of people, right?
Mhm.
So, what you give off into the universe or out into the world comes back in. So, if you're wanting to connect to angels, angels are very light. They're beings of light and love. We want to keep our emotional body and our mental body very light, so we're able to heighten that connection.
So powerful. Okay, great. So, one of the things we work with is the like emotional guidance scale with our clients, helping them to be able to have the skills and the tools to move themselves up on the scale when they desire to do so, right? And I think that, like, of course, all emotions are valid on this human journey. We're going to go through the full range of human emotions. We're meant to, right? That's
Yes.
all the ups and downs that we um, go through in life. And I feel, what I'm hearing you say is like that ability to connect to hope, that ability to connect to love. So somebody could be walking through a very, very difficult time in their life, right? They could be, you know, maybe they're going through something, a real trial or a challenge, and yet they still have this ability to connect to hope, love, joy, those higher realms where they can connect with this guidance. Is that
Yes,
how you would describe it?
absolutely. So we're talking about how to work with your angels on a day-to-day basis. And when we want to know that they're there, the higher our emotional component is, the easier it is to see these synchronicities and these symbols and these signs. That's how angels talk to us. They talk to us usually in threes, through symbols and signs, through synchronicities. Some of you may see 1111 all the time, or 444, 777. They talk in this kind of language, right? If you are someone that is going through a trauma or a really tough time, your angels are there. Your guardian angels never leave you. They're there. Keep asking them for the help and the things that you need. It just maybe a little harder to receive that confirmation or that validation back. But in your heart, know that they're there and they're helping you through your tough times.
Yes, I love that so much. So, is there a way when someone, like if somebody wants to start tapping into their own guardian angels, do you have some tips or advice to know if you're receiving signs or how they can start communicating?
Yes. So, number one, tell them how you want them to send the symbols and the signs. So, honestly, visuals are the easiest way because we live in such a visual, video oriented type of world right now. So, number one is to tell your angels how you want to be approached. Okay. So that's one example. Two is know that you have free will. So spirit or angels cannot intervene unless, again, it's a life-saving time in your life. So because human free will trumps everything on the other side, it's a universal law. We need to be asking the angels for their help or their guidance. So, number two, once you tell them how you'd like to be contacted, definitely get very, very, very specific on what you want and how you want it to come to you. And so let's think. Number three could be to stay open. Again, in alignment with the conversation regarding the emotions, the more worthy you feel, the more we have a connection with positive limiting beliefs like I matter, I am enough. It makes seeing the angels and feeling the angels so much easier. So really connecting into yourself and owning who you are as a beautiful human and a beautiful soul is the first step to contacting your angels.
Yeah, so owning your worthiness, owning the fact that you're worthy of communicating with your angels. You know, you're important. Like you get to open up that dialogue and know that you can receive their support simply by asking.
Yes.
That's really beautiful.
Yes. So
Yeah.
everyone has at least two guardian angels. Some people have more than two. And in the beginning, you had mentioned that you have many female entrepreneurs as clients. So if they are in purpose-driven careers, like a career that has a purpose that feels in alignment with their specific soul, most likely they have more than two angels, which is really cool. So there could be a third angel that kind of pops in and out. It could be an archangel, but know that your original two angels have never left your side. And whether you believe in past lives or you do not believe in past lives, just know you have had the same angels through all your lives that you have been on earth. Yeah.
How beautiful. Yes, it's just like such a beautiful thing to think about, having that loving guidance with you 24/7. Like there's never a time that they're not walking with you. And I just think that whether you might be tapped in or, aware of it or not, it's just so delicious to think about that love and support that's always around you.
Yes. It's hopeful, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if someone wanted to, let's just say, ask for a sign from their angels, you mentioned visuals, something like, can you show me a butterfly, or can you show me, is it like things like that? Or how do you recommend someone start to open the dialogue?
So when we connect to the sixth sense, our five sense are dulled and our sixth sense is heightened. But when we're asking for these symbols and signs or these synchronicities, the angels tend to use the five senses. So, yes, sight may be one. It could be a smell. It could be through a feeling that you have in the room, like the room may get very breezy for a quick couple seconds. Something may feel hot or cold, so that could be feeling. So just know that you might hear something. So know when the angels approach you, it's very gentle, it's very loving, it's very peaceful. If it doesn't feel that way, it's not an angel. They to see them, they look like beams of light energy, and they're very colorful. So we could even go in this direction, that sometimes angels show up in photographs, and you may see an orb. And if the orb in the photo is white or a light color, typically it is a loved one. If it has a lot of color, it's an angel. So if there's blue and green in it, or even pink and purple, that symbolizes an angel around you.
I love that. I love that. So, what I'm hearing you say is like these signs can come in all kinds of ways. So, just be open to receiving in any kind of way. And instead of like brushing it off as like, oh, that's probably not it, it helps to just tune in and be aware and be open to,
Yes.
yeah. Yes. What I have found on this journey of, really beginning, this is probably it was probably 2017-ish where I started to pay attention to my intuition again. I think, again, like you, I was very intuitive as a child. I felt a lot of things, was very sensitive, what sometimes made it hard to navigate the world. And then as a teenager, I shut it off. I was like, I'm shutting this stuff down. Like this, I gotta like live in the world. I gotta like get a hard shell, and really felt like I shut it off until going through a lot of life events that happened and my own awakening, and like really opened up again to my intuitive gifts. And when it was a little bit overwhelming, when things kind of came online for me, now not so much, but it has for me been like a muscle, right? The more that I use it, the stronger it gets. And we it can, like you said, the clairsentience, the claircognizant, like there can be so many different ways that we can receive messages. And would you agree that it's like a bit like just building that muscle, like showing up to tune in every single day?
Oh, absolutely. It is like building a muscle. I equate it to or compare it to speaking a foreign language. So we can all study Spanish or French or Italian, but if you're not speaking the Spanish, French, and Italian for a long time, then, it could start to become like a broken version of that language. And spirit works the same way, it's spirit connection. So it's just like learning a foreign language and learning the different vibrations and how to translate it. And I can tell you, the more you all come out of your minds and come out, get out of your own way and come into your physical body first, ground into you first, and then attempt to connect outside to outside energies, it makes it so much easier. So what will throw it off is the human mind, thinking you know what it means or you know what it is. It just needs to then become like this innate intuitive feeling that you have. And that's what we're all, as little babies, we come in with that skill set, and we're just kind of, due to survival here on earth, this is what we, we get deprogrammed as we go along. So it's possible to go back to that, and you're never too old to do it. So if you're listening to this and you're in your 80s and you want to connect to your intuition, please do it. You're never too old or never too young.
Absolutely. Like riding a bike, you just got to get back on.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. This it has been so fun to learn more about the angels and to just remember that we can connect in at any time. Something that I really love that you said too, that I just want to double tap on is, it is like speaking a language that, maybe you're learning a language for the first time. And so the way that I connect, the way that Amy connects might look completely different for someone else listening, right? It could be their own specific way, their own special way. And it's up to them to continue to show up and do the work to learn their language.
Oh, absolutely. We are all a unique recipe, and we all have a different way of connecting. And there isn't one human here on earth that can do it the same as another. So everyone just needs to stay in their own lane and focus on themselves and get to know you and, do the work. And the work is a little different depending on what's happening. But work could be, right, just getting your face in the sunshine, or work could be, a therapy session or a Reiki session, and just keep moving forward from there.
Before we go, I want to double tap on something else that you said too, which was the physical body.
Mm-hmm.
So often I think that when we think about connecting to the angelic realm or the higher realms, it's like we get this idea that we have to like leave our body or we're on this other plane. But you really talked about grounding into your physical body.
Yes.
Could you say a little bit more about how important it is to be in your body as you make these connections?
Yes. So remember, it's the physical body, mental, emotional, and energetic leads to the spiritual. So we can't leave out the physical body. And so the physical body has cells inside of it and is super energetically sensitive. So we know that when you're in a certain environment that may feel stressful, the body may get really tense and really tense up, right? Or feel stressed. Then when we're on vacation and we're on a beach and we're not on a timeline and you're not worrying about clients, your body feels very fluid, very light. And so the physical body has energy, and the physical body is in tune with the surroundings of what's going on around you. In order to connect to angels or connect to the other side, we first need the physical body to be calm, to be peaceful, to feel safe. And the more you feel those words, the easier it is to connect to the other side. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. So many ways that we can be tuning in. I wish we had another hour because I would love to hear all about the 5 bodies, and we could just talk all day. But I know that we need to get on with the rest of our day here. But thank you so much for coming and sharing your wisdom today. I feel like I learned so much. I know our listeners are going to feel that they've learned so much from just being here and in your presence as well. how can people connect with you online if they want to know more?
Sure. You can go to my website, myangelamy.com. You can email me at info@myangelamy.com. And you can also find me on Instagram or Facebook at angelamy1123. And I would love to connect with anyone that's ready. Yeah.
Ooh, so good, you guys. Well, thank you for being here. This was such a pleasure, and I look forward to connecting again somewhere in the future. I'm sure that we'll get to create together in some kind of way. That's the feeling I get.
Absolutely, Lisa. Thank you. This was an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amy.